Technology is not expensive. What's expensive is if you're not using technology to engage with your customers at a deep level. What's expensive is if you're not using technology to stay in contact and encourage your employees. What's expensive about technology is if you don't keep up with that which it is that's new, that's working. If you're not doing those things with technology, you will fall behind.
Hi all, welcome to Engati CX. Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Richard Weylman to our interview series. I am Drishti Shah from the Engati team, and I would like to begin with just a quick intro of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform, available across 14 channels with 30,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by IMC.com, Tech World, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 300,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Richard Weylman is the CEO and CDO of the Weylman Center for Excellence in Practice Management. He is the author of 3 books, 2 of which are international bestsellers, including his latest CEO Reads bestseller, The Power of Why, Breaking Out in Competitive Marketplace. A Hall of Fame inducted keynote speaker, Richard has delivered over 4,000 keynotes in 4 continents to audiences of 20 to 40,000. He has a worldwide reputation for helping clients better understand how to make the changes necessary to attract and retain customers, as well as the right talent to elevate business performance. So, hi, Richard. We are really thrilled to have you on Engati.
Well, it's my thrill to be with Engati, and thank you so much for the invitation. I'm just delighted we were able to get this scheduled. I'm looking forward to our conversation. Thank you.
Yes. So, even I am excited for the interview and would like to begin with the first question that I have for you.
Sure.
That what's the most important thing when it comes to business survival and growth?
Well, as we all know, with the pandemic, things have been very difficult, literally worldwide, literally for every type of business. There's always the conversation about large businesses and retail, and we get all this news about what's happening in, shall we say, in the larger space. But the reality is, even if you're running a small business, I often like to say, if you're an entrepreneur in a one-woman or one-man shop, or you're the CEO of some of the largest companies in the world, and we could talk about any of them, the high-tech big caps like Apple and Microsoft, and on it goes. The bottom line for survival today, it is absolutely critical as the head of an organization that you have a clear vision for that which it is that you aspire to be in the marketplace. That is critical. What I see in our consulting business, particularly, and I get lots of emails on my book, from CEOs who read it all over the world and other individuals, because they want to know, how do we break out in a competitive marketplace? And of course, the book details that. But I always come back with the question, fine, but what is your vision for your business? What is not that you just want to have more sales or you want to make more money. And I mean, that all sounds great. But the bottom line, what's your vision? It's like Ford Motor Company to be the number 1 automotive company in the world. Well, that's a pretty clear vision for that which it is that you want to accomplish. Or Nike to be the leading, shall we say, athletic gear provider in the world. That's a clear vision. Now, why is it so important for survival? Because if you have a clear vision for that which it is that you want to accomplish as a firm, as a business, even as an individual, you have a clear vision, then you'll always select the right strategies to execute to achieve that vision. Now, the other side of that conversation is this. If you don't have a clear vision, particularly now, to your question about survival, if you don't have a clear vision for that which it is that you want to accomplish, no amount of strategy is going to save you. You're going to try this for a while, then you'll try that for a while, and then we'll try this, and that didn't work, and we'll spend money, that didn't work. And so what happens is we start running our business, not just in situations like this, but companies that fail typically, it's because it's all based on a knee-jerk reaction. People sit around and say, here's what I think, here's what I think, here's what I think. The bottom line is if you have a clear vision for that which it is that you want to accomplish as a company, as an individual, as an entrepreneur, the bottom line is you're able to go there. I mean, you look at the head of Apple, you look at the big moves that Microsoft made in the last few years. It's all because the new CEO, not so new now, he has a very clear vision of who Microsoft wants to be in the world. They just closed all their retail outlets worldwide. People are like, well, that means they must be failing. No, it didn't fit the vision. The vision was we can do everything online. We're an online company. Why do we need to have brick and mortar? We can demonstrate, talk us straight. We can use AI. There's many things we can do that fit the vision of that which it is that we want to accomplish. So it's the exact same thing.
Yes.
That to survive today, you need a clear vision. Just remember, there's a wonderful proverb that says, people without vision perish. And that's exactly right. If you don't have a clear vision, it's going to be very difficult to survive in this environment. Thanks for the question. Wonderful question. Thank you.
Yeah, and equally good answer, I would say. That clear vision will help you go forward, definitely.
Well, just one other thing. Vision inspires you.
Yeah.
It inspires the people around you. It creates willing followers, which is sort of like an important idea.
Yeah.
Okay. And most importantly, people then are working on purpose, not pressure.
Yes.
And today people feel pressured. The reason is because there's no clear vision. So they're just trying to do anything to keep going. If you have a clear vision, people are now working on purpose versus pressure. That's a game changer in your culture, as you undoubtedly know.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah. That's true. So, talking about technology that has, like a revolution of technology that we saw in COVID. So,
Right.
how are businesses using these technologies, say conversational AI and chatbots, for customer service? And what are the future trends that we should be looking out for?
Okay, so let me answer the first half first. The truth of the matter is that a lot of companies have always said, we're going to go virtual. We're going to do virtual meetings. We are going to do things that allow us to work remotely, et cetera. But what the pandemic has done is pushed everybody into at some point in the future, we're going to do it, into the here and now we're doing it.
Yes.
So the first impact it's had on business, it's really illustrated, and perhaps at many levels, taken away the argument that companies cannot operate virtually. They can't. We have, as an organization, we have 6 offices around the world. We've operated virtually for nearly 10 years. Of course, we saw it early, but it's not about us. The truth is, companies today are using virtual technology to engage with their, let's say, employees, their contractors, their consultants, their whomevers. Even I do a lot of presentations online now for conferences that are being held virtually, which is acceptable. But I think the second part is, in terms of how are they using it socially, I think we're going to see a real sea change here. I think from a social media perspective, that people are expecting an elevated experience. They don't want just to go online and have a, shall we say, a virtual meeting. They want an elevated experience. They don't want to sit and wait for the wheel to spin on the screen that says, wait till the host arrives. They want to see something on the screen that engages them. It could be a visual, it could be something that engages. So that's one. Secondly, the second part of your question about how are they using bot and chatbots, yes, a lot of companies have gone that way. The downside is that they're very institutional. They need to be far more conversational. Now, what do I mean by that? If you go to the typical company, even if they were on, let's just say, using AI and bots previously, before the pandemic, many of them were very institutionalized, meaning you had a select group of questions you could ask. Or if you typed in a question that was very specific, that was not in their, let's say, answer inventory, the reality is we couldn't find the answer, or that answer doesn't exist, or send an email to, or something along that line. Okay. So what's happened is, from a bot and, let's say, IA perspective and a chat perspective, what companies have to do, and this is something your firm is so brilliant at, is to give them the possibility of really building a massive inventory of answers. If we're not going to talk to a person direct, even though, of course, we all know that most bots say, talk to your personal representative, which is, an AI chip somewhere in the world. But the truth of the matter is we need a far bigger inventory so that when people, regardless of their culture, regardless of their language, regardless of their ethnicity, when they type in a question, it may not be in the language of the home company, like in America. Well, they didn't type it in American English, so that means we don't have an answer. There needs to be a recognition that there are nuances to culture, there's nuances to language, there's even nuances, as an example, in English. In India, we have a different English, if you will, than they have in England, which is different than Australia, which is different than America, although America, it's not even English. But whatever it is American, they call it. But my point is, what has to happen is that we need to personalize and humanize the AI experience, the chatbot experience, so that people really feel like they're getting an elevated experience. That's one of the big pieces that I believe one of the great opportunities for growth in chatbot, in AI, because if you don't personalize and humanize today, they don't even look at it as a service. They look at it as a complete disconnect.
Yeah.
May I give you an example? My first initial is C, stands for Charles. I don't use it. My dad was Charles. So I've always been C period Richard. I get lots of messages. Dear C. Now, what does this tell me? It tells me, okay, fine, we're using AI, but it tells me there's no personalization and humanization going on the back end of that organization. I'll give you another example. I get plenty of emails from people. Dear customer. Well, how that's so heartwarming. I mean, I just feel, oh, thank you so much. I'm just so delighted that you think, oh my God, it's just so wonderful. And dear customer, or dear client, or I got one the other day, dear prospect. I didn't know. I'm so thrilled. So the truth of the matter is, why can't we write to people instead of writing at people? I'll give you one other example. I've changed insurance companies recently for my automotive insurance. And the reason is because I got an email from a provider, big insurance provider in the United States, well, they're nearly global. It said, Dear C, I've been a client for 15 years. And it said, for English, click here. For Spanish, click here. And I thought to myself, this cannot be noted in my file that I speak English, yeah, a little poquito on the Spanish side. But for them not to know told me that I'm just an account.
Yeah.
And what AI social media companies need to do, chatbot, they can't be treating people as accounts. You have to treat them as individuals, because this is what people want today. They want to be treated as an individual. They want to be remembered. They want you to have a database of my purchase anniversary and then send me congratulations for being a client of ours for the last 5 years. Richard, we're delighted to have you. They should know the purchase anniversary. They should know that if I had children, I don't, but let's say I had children. If I happen to share with a customer service rep, or maybe I filled out a form that said I have a child who's 5 years old, great. And their birthday is in whenever, May, then every May, Richard, congratulations, wish your child a happy birthday on our behalf. And what does that do for me? It makes me feel as though I'm part of something and an organization that cares about me as an individual, not as an account. It also tells me you're remembering me.
Right.
If I buy something from one of your client firms using AI or whatever, and I put in there, this is a wedding anniversary gift, and here is the card I want to send, that should be somewhere captured in some database so that every year, about 6 weeks before, it's like, hey, dear Richard, we know your anniversary's coming up. Now, I know you're always looking for something special. Here's 4 or 5 items you might consider. This is where AI and chat and all of that, I believe, can be a game changer. Now, we see it on some platforms.
Yeah.
You'll go in and you'll buy something, and then below it, it'll say, clients, like on Amazon, where you can buy my book. It's in 7 languages, my book, The Power of Why, Breaking Out in the Competitive Marketplace. All right. If you go to Amazon and go the power of why, breaking out the competitive marketplace, or type in my name, it'll come up. Now you can buy the book, but it'll also have below it, Amazon's got that figured out. They'll have other books. What I just don't understand is why companies are investing small fortunes, in some cases large, on chat and AI, and they're not suggestively offering up other things that could be of value to that customer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Critical today.
Yeah. Great examples, though. You really cracked me up.
Thank you.
So, how do you think that businesses can digitally transform themselves post-pandemic, and what role will social media play in this digital transformation?
Well, that's a wonderful question. So let me do the social media first, because I think that becomes one of our drivers. Now, as you know, there's been a great deal of issues culturally in many countries. In the US, we've seen it, of course. We've seen it in other parts of the world, as you undoubtedly are clearly aware, and as all of your listeners are aware. And I think that what's happened now is a consequence of that. And I mean, everybody wants to talk about Facebook, and we can, the pullback of advertising, et cetera. But there's a far bigger play here. And the bigger play is, I believe that social media going forward is companies are going to engage, even individuals will engage, but certainly companies will engage, particularly in the advertising space or in their messaging space. It's going to be based on a series of principles that they really hold dear. Now, everybody likes to say, well, it depends on their values and they want to articulate their values. Yeah, okay, but it's even bigger than that. Okay. What it really is what they want to be known for and maybe known against. Currently, it's what they're known that they're against discrimination. They're against social unrest in some. They're against in some countries the way the government is handling things. I'll just say that at a higher level. But I think what we're going to begin to now see is that companies are going to be, and individuals are going to be supportive of various things on social media that meet their principles, the things that they believe in. We can call them values. I think it's even transcends that. Is they have principles. If they have a principle, if their value is integrity, great, but their principle is they're only going to post things that they know that are true, well, that becomes important. And so that's where I think social media, and it's not so much that I think, it's so much that I really know in my heart, and from conversations with CEOs all over the world that we have the privilege of working with, that the reality is they're saying, look, yes, we can drive advertising. Yes, we have lots of platforms. Yes, we can drive messaging. But we not only want to be sensitive to the messaging, but most importantly, we want to let people know what our principles of doing business, how we're going to treat employees, as an example, during this pandemic. A good example is Williams-Sonoma here in the United States. Now, this is a retail. They've got about 600 and some stores, and they sell pots and pans and high-end stuff for the home. So you'd imagine they were really struggling. I mean, you got to believe people are stuck at home. Nobody's going to stores. Yet their stock went up over 130% in recent months, primarily because a couple of things. Number one, they put on social media, all of their employees were getting paid, even with every store closed. Wow. People were like, really? What? You mean you bet? Yes. And what does the CEO say? One of our principles are that we value our employees. We value their expertise, and we value the fact they collaborate with us to support our customer base. So we're going to continue to pay them through this entire time. We're also going to ask them to work collaboratively with us to help us to improve our online experience. It became a runaway train. They had record revenue. Now, you can say, okay, that's just one example, but there are many examples where we've seen where not necessarily the governments around the world got involved to support people, but the companies that were driven by principle actually invested in their people to retain those individuals because they understand the importance of culture.
Right.
So that's a big move, and that, I believe, is what you're going to see in social media. Now, what changes do companies need to make? That's always the tough one. So I'll just be somewhat blunt here. There are way too many companies, and I almost a day, never a day goes by, I don't get an email from somebody that, we're having some of our best producers or best performers or whomever, or best wholesalers, best product managers, talk about best practices on how to get the product out in the marketplace. Well, the truth is there are no best practices in this pandemic. And the truth is things have changed dramatically. And people today are not interested in all the attributes and features of your company, your 6-step process, your 9 plans, your package. No, they're only interested in one thing today. What am I going to accomplish if I do business with you?
Right.
That's all they care about.
Yes.
They don't care about all these features. Now, are they important to you? Sure, features and attributes are critically important. We've been in business for, pick a number. Now, in our case, we've been in business almost 30 years. So I could say to a CEO, we've been in business 30 years. 30 years we've been in business. Could care less. What he wants to know is, what can you do for me? What can you help me accomplish? Yeah. Well, I can help you elevate your business performance in today's COVID marketplace. Oh, well, that's what I'm looking for. And so the big shift that companies have to make is they've got to realize they have to speak in the voice of the consumer, the customer, their constituent. That's number one. You've got to explain clearly what people can accomplish for you. Good example is FedEx. When you absolutely positively need it there overnight, pretty clear what they're going to accomplish for you. They're going to absolutely positively get it there overnight. Look at Walmart, struggling for years. A couple of years ago, new CEO. For years, they were all about low prices every day. And, they're nearly worldwide now. They're in China, Asia, all over. Yeah. Low prices every day. New CEO comes in and said, the reason we're flatlining is because we're following old best practices. Let's change the reason people should shop at Walmart. And you can go to Beijing and look at the front of the building. And it says right on the front of the building, save money, live better. That's a lot better than low prices every day. So what's that? They changed all their trucks, et cetera. Even their employees that used to wear aprons, may I help you? That's a yes or no. He had everybody change your apron. How may I help you? So now you don't get to say yes or no. Let's put it this way. You sort of have to you pick degrees of help. So what's the message here? The message is the changes that need to be made are people have got to focus on their customer. Number one. Number two, they have to understand they have relational capital. They have relationship capital with your customer base. Your customer base can help you expand your network of other customers if you don't ask them who else needs our service, but rather provides them a list of here's 6 or 8 other company CEOs or CFOs or product managers or purchase manager or whomever, or technology managers in your case that I would like to meet. Who do you know? Which ones know you? Get yourself a warm introduction. That will expand your network because you have relationship capital. So you got to be not just customer centric. You got to speak in the voice of the consumer, the customer. Number two, you got to leverage those relational capital. Number three, you got to be open to new ideas. A lot of people say, I'm very open. But the real secret is you got to be willing to make the changes. That's a whole lot different than being open.
Yes.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, right, that with COVID has come, so with this impending recession, so how important is it for business to adopt technologies and especially automation?
Well, it's a wonderful question. And I think that, as I said earlier, this pandemic has pushed companies who always had somewhat of a plan to become more technology savvy, more technology integrated into, and we can even talk about working remotely.
Right.
But what this has really heightened, I think, for individuals and for companies is to realize that, number one, technology is not important, shall we say, expensive. Technology is not expensive. What's expensive is if you're not using technology to engage with your customers at a deep level. What's expensive is if you're not using technology to stay in contact and encourage your employees. What's expensive about technology is if you don't keep up with that which it is that's new, that's working. If you're not doing those things with technology, you will fall behind. And it's not that technology is going to replace people. It's that people are not going to work in organizations where they don't have technology that can help them engage with people, elevate the client and customer experience. Because today, that's what the consumer wants. They want an elevated experience, both in person and online. So the reason you invest in technology is because it can help you heighten the client experience. It can help you strengthen the relationships with your own employees. And perhaps most importantly, it helps you build a business of distinction. And it shows the marketplace. It shows your employee base that you're not only keeping up with the times, but most importantly, you're doing the things that make a difference, that makes you distinct, that engages, and that you value people. You just don't value products or value revenue. So by investing in technology that's customer-centric, that's employee-centric, you're saying to people, you know what? We value you. We value the human connection. And we're going to invest in technology, not so we can replace the human connection, but rather we can enhance it. And if we can enhance the human connection, then that puts us in a position where we can elevate your experience with us, whether you're an employee or you're a customer.
Yeah, that's actually like very on point.
Thank
I
you.
agree with you.
Thank you.
So, concluding the interview, do you have any other thoughts that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, thank you. Just from a standpoint, I think we've covered a number of key points here today. And I think what's important for us in the big picture, here's what I believe. This pandemic has, it's not going to, it already has. It's changed everything. Now, you might say, well, we're going to get a vaccine. Oh, okay, well, we might get a vaccine. That'd be great. And maybe we won't. But let's say we do, because there's certainly an awful lot of resources worldwide. God bless all those scientists and those physicists and everybody else working on a solution, pharma companies, et cetera. So let's say we do get a vaccine. But what this has really done is it has changed the way people in the world think. Number one, they know the importance of family. Number two, they understand the real importance of a supportive network of people, whether that's based on what they do for a living or what they do for recreation or what their special interests are. They understand now the importance of having those connections across, shall we say, their world. Yeah. And there's no question now that people are going to spend more time cultivating, developing, and engaging in those networks. I think financially, what I believe is a lot of people around the world are suffering because of the recession. At the same time, a lot of people that had a rainy day fund, they're suffering because they didn't have a what-if fund. And what we're going to see in the financial world, I believe, is that companies are going to start building a stockpile of what-if funds. Not that they can obviously bank everything that needs to be banked if we had another pandemic, but strategically, they're going to be thinking differently about how they budget their resources, how they allocate resources, and most importantly, how they can prepare for that which it is that could happen, just as a pandemic did, in a blink of an eye. Those are the most important things for us to think about. And perhaps in summary, as individuals, as human beings, the most important thing is think about the difference you can make in somebody else's life. The phone call you can make to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, the text that you send, maybe it's the email you send someone, maybe it's just sending someone a note that says, I was thinking about you. Because yes, the mantra around the world, we're all in this together. But the truth is, people are feeling very alone, feeling very disconnected. So anything you can do to make a difference in people's lives, give to organizations that are making a difference in the lives of people around the world, culturally, ethnically, et cetera, anything you can do in that area, it's not about giving to get. It's about giving of yourself and expressing gratitude and reaching out so that you have the opportunity to give again. By doing that, not only does it enhance who you are, but most importantly, it makes an impact on the lives of other people. And let's tell the truth. This world is all about people and relationships, because relationships drive revenue. And relationships, that relationship capital you have, is what really brings brightness to your life.
Great words, Richard, I guess. This is something that people, need to realize and start implementing if they haven't, and, be there for each other. That's what humanity wants today. Yeah. Really beautiful words. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much, Richard, for giving us your time. Your insights, the examples that you have shared, and the beautiful words that you have shared are very, very valuable. I know the audience is also going to crack up and enjoy this interview.
Well, my pleasure indeed. And I'm always grateful for the invitation to participate. I'm just thrilled at all the great work that you're doing as a firm worldwide. And most importantly, the impact you're making on the lives of people in India as well as all over the world, because I know people today not only need the technology, the AI, and the chatbot, and all the work that you're doing, but I think most importantly, they need to hear from you, which you're great at, on a personalized, humanized way, because that is what keeps people engaged with you. So I'm just so proud to know you and to have the privilege of being with you today. So thank you. It's been a real joy, as
Thank you
always.
so much, Richard. These are really, really kind words.
Thank you.
So we'll be back with a new episode with a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned and we'll see you around for the next one. Goodbye.